on the topic ease of doing business through easier compliances. Recently, government has eased various compliances affecting MSMEs, cost-wise and process-wise. So we'll be discussing entire things around it. Today, we are joined by Dr. H.P. Kumar. He is the former chairman and managing director of National Small Industry Corporation, and also associated with Power to SME as director of external affairs. We have today Mr. Pankaj Chawla. He is the founder and CEO of MSME Strategy Consultant. And we have Mr. Vineet Sajdev, he's the founder of IOUX. So before I hand over the session to Dr. Kumar to begin the discussions, let me walk you through very briefly the profile of the organizer, which is Power to SME. Power to SME established in the year 2012 by our founder and CEO, Mr. R. Narayan. He came up with a very innovative business model which eliminated the intermediaries and middlemen in the supply chain of commonly used raw materials from the big manufacturers to the MSME manufacturers, and using the demand aggregation model, and thus we were able to provide better pricing to the MSME manufacturers, which are our clients. Over the last 10 years of our existence, we have created an entire ecosystem catering to the MSME needs of the manufacturing MSMEs in particular, through our mother brand Power to SME, which serves raw material procurement and sourcing solutions. We have our brand SME Shops, which is the B2B portal providing the maintenance, repair, and operation and industrial consumable kind of management to MSME manufacturing. We have our in-house NTFC by the brand name BizFunds, which offer very innovative financial products in raw material purchase financing. And we have a vertical by the name Finance Me, which connects MSMEs with the empaneled NBFCs and banks for easy and fast processing of working capital requirements. The key product category that Power to SME deals in include steel, polymer, paints, yarn, and there are several more. The major industrial segments that we cater to currently include auto components, plastic, electronics, textile, infrastructure is coming out very fast. Power to SME aims to be as a one-stop solution for all the requirements of the manufacturing MSME unit, right from their raw material requirement to their purchase financing solutions to their working capital thing, and everyone under one roof. We are an invested company. Some of the most reputed venture funds in the country has invested in us. Inventors, Kalari, Excel. Nandan Nilekani is one of our strategic investors. We are also funded by World Bank through its financial arm IFC. These are the few awards and accolades we have won since our inception. And this is where you can find us. Any one of you want to know more about our services can get in touch with us. So with these words, I would now like to hand over the session to Dr. Kumar to carry the discussion forward. So over to you, Dr. Kumar.
Thank you, Zubair. Thank you very much. My greetings to all the participants. In fact, it's going to be a very interesting session on ease of doing business through simplified compliances, easier compliances. That is what the session has been termed as. And I have two experts. We have two experts today to talk about these issues. Mr. Pankaj Chawla, who is the founder and CEO of MSME Strategy Consultants, and Mr. Vineet Sajdev, who is the co-founder of IOUX in the country. So when we talk of ease of doing business and compliances, I thought these are two different issues, but then surely they are related. Ease of doing business has not only compliances as an issue, but then ease of doing business has many other issues also in its fold. As World Bank Index, suggests, World Bank has been doing ranking of various countries on ease of doing business for, almost 190 countries, and India also featured in one of them. World Bank's last ranking came in 2018. After that, World Bank has stopped the, ease of doing business ranking. I don't know what is the reason, but I understand that people were giving this kind of different kind of figures. So in India, of course, a lot of hard work went through because of the emphasis that the government was giving on ease of doing business. I think led from the Honorable Prime Minister himself. And I was listening to a workshop just last week organized by Niti Aayog, where CEO Niti Aayog and former CEO Niti Aayog and the secretaries of various ministries, including DIPP, which is DPIIT, now renamed as DPIIT. And they were explaining as to how the 3 years hard work, 3 years from the central ministries and various organizations, which they involved as a campaign, in fact, to reduce the compliances and also improve the entire ecosystem so that country features much higher in terms of its ranking. And as a result of that, it certainly improved from 150 odd to 63 number. It came to 63, the best case that the India saw. There were various parameters, in fact, in ease of doing business. Before I come to compliances, I'm just setting the context before I invite my experts, in fact, to talk about that. So in ease of doing business, there are 8 parameters which the World Bank was examining. Now, those 8 parameters included registration of property, getting electricity, construction permits, how fast you can get construction permits, getting credit, paying taxes, trading across borders, that is import exports, how simplified your procedures are, resolving insolvency, and then 2 other important parameters where country could not improve much. Of course, getting property registered and electricity and construction permits, paying taxes, a lot of work went, and because of the digitalization and removal of procedures, simplifying the systems, registration formalities and all that, formatting, we improved a lot. But then there are 2 parameters which I would like to specifically focus. That is starting a business. Where our country was 137 when the whole process started, and in 2008 it could improve to 136. That is only 1 point improvement. Now, starting a business in the country should have been given topmost priority because of looking at the need to start new businesses to provide employment opportunities to millions of people who are waiting here. I think that issue is still hanging, and compliances are also related to that, because if you want to start a business and you need to register with 10 authorities, get approvals from various places, getting an environment clearance, getting a fire clearance, are not easy. So starting a business is still a difficult proposition as far as our country is concerned. We are at 136. Another issue is enforcing contracts, where we could improve from 164 to 163. So there also, and enforcing contract is as important as starting a business, because who does the contracting? Who is interested in enforcing contracts? We as individuals, homemakers, and majority of the people, they are not executing contracts on daily basis. See, once in a while, maybe we execute a rent agreement. Once in a while, maybe once in 15 years, 10 years, 20 years, we execute a property deal. Or if you are a businessman, as an individual, so we are not interested. But as a businessman, any business in the country, if you talk of MSMEs, there are 63 million MSME enterprises. Then you talk of agriculturalists, there are 30 million agriculturalists. Similarly, traders. So all these businesses, if you put together, they are interested in enforcing contract because they deal with money and the transactions, purchase, sale, and various business agreements. Now, for example, a seller, a business owner, whether it is small or medium or large or small, even micro, they sell products on daily basis. When they sell products on daily basis on credit, they issue the sales invoice and they issue the, whatever e-challan and e-way bill, and then expect the payment to be made by the buyer according to the agreed payment schedule. I mean, if it is payment against delivery, then payment against delivery has to be made after the delivery. Or if it is after 30 days, 15 days, 60 days, 90 days, then according to the schedule. MSME Development Act in any case provides that payments to MSCs, micro and small enterprises, will have to be done within 45 days, not beyond that. Now, this is a contract. If this contract is failing and the buyer is not making payment to the seller in time as per the agreed payment schedule, the seller, any business, whether micro, small, medium, is going to fail because they are not able to realize the payment, they are not able to channelize their working capital, they are not able to grow. So this is what is basically affecting the businesses and all businesses across the country, because in one way or the other, they enter into contracts. And enforcing a contract, if it is requires years through legal process and you go to court of law and then execute, I don't know how businesses can flourish and work. So these are two issues which I thought let me bring to the attention. These are two major issues where, first of all, starting a business, you need to remove. I mean, last meeting I suggested in the government, I was meeting the minister also. I said for 3 years, you remove all registrations. For starting any business, no registration required, no approval required. Let the person start a business. At least let him experiment, whether he is successful, fail. Otherwise, before even starting a business, if he has to take 10 approvals, that itself becomes a lot of inertia and he loses the interest running around various departments and all that. But if he is given the freedom to start a business without any problem, at least he can test his mettle, whether he can become successful or and after he becomes successful, he's able to employ maybe 1 or 2, 5, 10 more people. He's able to spread his wings in the market. He's able to stabilize his business, able to earn some money. Let him be asked to register, get approvals, whatever legal requirements, compliances, regulatory requirements, he will do that. So first of all, do this. Second thing, exempt him from 3 years for all taxation, particularly the income tax. Because in any case, for first 3 years, he is not going to earn anything. He is going to establish his business. So these two suggestions, which I gave are still valid. We are still pursuing that with the government. Rajasthan government did that. I think 1 or 2 governments have done that. Maybe Gujarat also did something, that they have exempted a lot of things. The Ministry of Commerce and Industry, DPIIT, has also started recently a national single window portal. The purpose of that national single window portal is for the new businesses to register and seek all the approvals through that portal, because that portal is connected with all the organizations and departments which are. But the problem here is that when we go for complying with various requirements of registrar of companies, ROC compliances, which I will come a little later, they have things over their platform, but then it doesn't go through. Ultimately, it has to be handled by somebody there, manually, physically, which is not doing their job. So even if you digitize, do a single window portal, it has to be made efficient and responsive so that you can really get the objective achieved. Now, coming back to the compliances, I'll just take maybe another 1 or 2 minutes before handing over, because the context is important. Compliances are also various kinds of compliances. You have n number of compliances for businesses. Compliances with regard to your labor laws, compliances, Factories Act, fire, building laws, regulatory compliances with regard to HR, health and safety, compliances on credit related issues for banks, ROC compliances, as I mentioned, SEBI compliances, stock exchanges compliances if you are listed as a company. Then now data compliances, data management, data storage, all these compliances have also come in. Then you have income tax, GST compliances, a host of compliances which one business has to do. I think that is why the Companies Act provides for designating a compliance officer also. Now, a small business, I mean, if you expect him to engage a compliance officer, how is he going to survive, in fact, make sustainable their business? I mean, compliances itself require a compliance officer. You forget about, I mean, in small business, there is only one person who is owner, and he has to run everything from for marketing, technology, business operations, production, sales, I mean, raw material, everything. And then you need one compliance officer for that. So this is the background which I thought, let me set in. I can keep on and on, but then I have to invite my experts. Basically, they are the people who have been really into the thick of these issues. So before, first of all, I would like to invite Mr. Pankaj Chawla, who is the founder and CEO of MSME Strategy Consultants and provides critical services to startups and MSMEs to add value to their growth trajectory. I think it's the most important, desirable work that Mr. Chawla is doing for the MSME sector particularly. Of course, this is relevant for even bigger companies also, but I think over a period of time, maybe Mr. Chawla expands its operations to maybe larger corporates also. So he is into enhancing the core competence of clients by creating business growth strategies with multiplier effect in line with the culture and core values of the organization. So over to you, Mr. Chawla. Look forward to hearing your expert views on this.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Kumar. So idea of providing strategies to MSMEs, to your point, has come from strategies which have been prevalent in MNCs already. The problem is that MSMEs cannot afford to have those strategists which MNCs can afford to. With the advent of this organization called MSME Strategy Consultants, I am with my team trying to bring all these services to masses. So to your point of yes, looking at MNCs, providing services to MNCs, yes, that's an important thing. But today, I think the need is more with MSMEs. So about me, I am a business strategist for MSMEs. Like Mr. Kumar said, I have already touched more than 1,000 lives. I work with growth-minded entrepreneurs to overcome the challenges of scaling of business so that people can earn better ROI. I have thought of giving you at least 3 tips in this session to scale your business faster, of how you can differently look at your business. Relating it to ease of doing business and the cost of compliance, I think the biggest cost of compliance for anyone in the country, be it small, big, or a medium or organization, is the cost of your time. Because time is of essence, and if you are putting your time into something which is not core of your business, something which is not operations, something which is not expansion, which is not marketing, then that time is costing your growth of your business, right? So that is number one on the cost of compliance is a cost of doing business, not focusing on your core. How one can look at reducing the cost of compliances is to look at how, and I'm just giving you top items, how you can reduce your cost of collections, which effectively means that when your customers are being onboarded, how effective you are in onboarding those customers so that there is no or minimal follow-up required when it comes to collecting money from them through better contracts, watertight terms and conditions, obviously relating it to what's practical in the industry that you're working in, but yet enforcing the laws of the land, like MSMEs have, rather MSEs, which is micro and small enterprises, have a provision of securing their payments within 45 days. So are your contracts watertight to that extent? Can you enforce it within after 45 days? How can you enforce it? What are the terms? So watertight that aspect. Uh, are you issuing your invoices in time? Is another aspect of collections, because if the invoices are not being issued in time, then client or a customer would not have a legal document and a liability or an ownership to pay you in time, because he'll not have a document which is nothing less than a contract in itself. Are you looking at cost of operations? Just before the session, Mr. Kumar and I was chatting about how you are looking at other aspects of your operations. Is your hiring right? Are you doing or running business basis processes or people? How the handoffs are happening between department one to department two? These are all areas which include and which helps, which probably makes a organization incur cost. So if your operations are optimized, then your cost goes down, which could be done through a process improvement idea, which could be done through better management, which could be done through elimination of non-value adds from the whole organizational processes, and replace it with more value adds, which is generating more time within the existing workforce that you have, right? uh, so two kind of things on that. The third thing is, do we today have contracts similar to what we have with our customers? If at all we have, do we have those contracts with our vendors, with our employees, etc., and are they adequate enough and safeguarding us enough uh, to ensure right delivery, both in terms of quality, timeliness, maybe accuracy as well, and a data driven KPI to measure the delivery of an employee or a vendor to that extent, which ensures that whatever I am buying, be it a service from an employee or a product or a service from a vendor, has direct relation to what I am trying to achieve in my business. Now, how do you define what are you trying to achieve in your business? Is through having a conversation, could be a closed door conversation between the management team, could be a wider conversation with your 2 levels down, 3 levels down, to discuss if at all your organization is large enough to have those levels, but then having a conversation to see what are my KPIs, which is key performance indicators of the business, and then do we have definition to each KPI and a measure through data which is being generated in the organization, or yes, data being generated in the organization itself, which can define how does that KPI gets computed and calculated, and a number is shared with the management team. Once that number is shared with the management team, story will not end there. What will matter is how consistently you are monitoring that number, measuring that number, and there is an ownership of each of the number with your own self or your teams in terms of delivering that KPI to you, right? Now, what is required in this is, could be a small data collation exercise, could be a small operations management exercise to define KPIs, give you data, churn that data into a report format, which can be insightful, and basis that decisions can be taken. But then that is important for anyone who's running an organization and wants to scale beyond the concerns of cost or small cost that you may incur to run that particular process, because this particular process running, data churning, data analytics exercise will give you returns which could be multifold in terms of returns over a period of time. So that is something which is important. Structuring a business, structuring your teams is important to figure out how you can reduce the cost of running a business, cost of complying with business. For examples, could be what extent of your operations could be in-house and what extent of operations could be outsourced, because anything that you outsource to a vendor, you do not have compliance requirement from an employee perspective, could be PF, ESI, other labor laws which are applicable. How do you strategize that to say whether I am getting a competitive rate from a vendor to take a particular task as an outsource service provider compared to what if I do in-house and I take burden of these many compliances? This is another way to look at how could you potentially reduce your cost of compliance, which includes time, effort, money, energy, everything. The other thing which could be looked at is for you to ensure and do this, what is the funnel that you have? Both funnel in terms of sales funnel of how revenue will come, and funnel in terms of vendors giving you respective services that you may need in your entire operations process. And then basis the entire operations process, you may define what funnel, what vendor to pick up from which funnel and fit in where, so that all the pieces of the puzzle stack in well and deliver the right result. This is possible only through you making your organization a process driven organization, which brings me back to my second point of an organization, how you can optimize the process, how you can do the improvement in the process. So first, the important thing is the bedrock of having a process in place, then figuring out what piece of the process can be outsourced to reduce compliance costs, to reduce other associated costs onto that. So these are a few examples of you being able to look at your business differently in terms of operations, sales, and other compliancing. Dr. Kumar, any thoughts from you or any questions that we may have on this before I come to the next point of probably consolidating it?
Go ahead, because there are various questions coming up from the participants. We will have a separate question answer session at the end of the program where we can address all these questions.
Okay.
So please go ahead and complete your.
Sure. So so this is what I was referring to as areas where cost can be reduced, ROI can be enhanced, processes can be streamlined, operations can be optimized to give you better results. The three things that you can look at implementing in your organization for a better ROI and better scaling of businesses are: one, you should become a contract driven company. Have customers, employees, vendors, contracts, because this is something which MSMEs generally lack by the structure in which we operate in India. We would be working more on word of mouth. Okay, someone has committed something, so it gets delivered, which in most of the cases gets delivered. But if it doesn't, what happens? Would you still want to get into something which is more a negotiation off the record, or would you want to do on record negotiation in court, in arbitration? And what brings you in a better position is something that you have to decide. But yes, become a contract driven company. Second is start taking data driven decisions, which is to have KPIs in place, utilize technology. There are all small technology solutions available at a very fractional cost, which can give you data in the format, in the definition that you want, and deliver and measure KPIs for you. So become that organization which is taking decisions basis data, so that you can make relevant people responsible for their delivery rather than taking all the burden on you as an entrepreneur. Third is move from a person driven to a process driven organization. Could be an initial small investment of building processes, establishing things, but as I said, it will give multiple returns in the long run and substantially reduce your cost of operations. These are top 3 ways which I wanted to give you in this session as ways of reducing the cost. Again, I'm Pankaj Chawla, business strategist for MSMEs, and I'll be happy to help you scale your business faster.
Thank you, Mr. Chawla. I think it was wonderful. And nothing better than what you lastly mentioned, 3 strategies besides, of course, your useful inputs with regard to the value of time and other operational issues that you discuss. But I like the three strategies which are very relevant for any business enterprise. The contract driven. I mean, today in our country, it's all most of the things business enterprises are dealing on informal understanding basis, verbal discussion, and verbal assurances, verbal contracting, and it is all informal understanding, and a lot of promises, verbal promises fail,
Absolutely.
and leading to default from one party to the other, and ultimately leading to legal hassles, problems, and leading to failure of the business. So I really take this point very well, and this should be made applicable to all the business enterprises. I don't know how far it can really reach out to the people, but if every business transaction is formalized through a written contract, as you say, contract driven organization, I think it will resolve a lot of problems of the business enterprise. Second thing, of course, data driven, because scaling up requires a lot of data usage, and process driven. Nothing can be better. Even if something happens to the promoters, owner, or any employee, or any manager, director, or anything, the business doesn't get affected. It continues based on the processes that you have set in. So I think these are the gems that you mentioned. Thank you very much. We'll come back to you. Let me now invite Mr. Vineet Sajde.
Sure. Thank you,
I
Mr. Kumar.
think as I have understood from IOUX also, I think that further substantiates what you said. That is what I think I expect Vineet Sajdev to explain as to how businesses can take benefit and build upon these strategies through the product that you have. Over to you, Vineet ji. I think, let me also mention about his profile. He is the co-founder of IOUX, a leading digital contracting and smart financing platform for Indian startups. And he has been not only startups, but all businesses. He has been running finance and IT businesses over the last 2 decades. With a master's in banking and finance, Vineet already has 2 patents to his name in fintech and smart contracting space, which are very useful solutions to ease of doing business for the MSME sector. So over to you, Vineet ji.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kumar. And thank you so much, Mr. Chawla. I think the very crisp 3 points which you shared with us and all the MSMEs present here today, I think they are gems. And basis on that, any organization can become very strong, stable, and have a much longer rate of survival, I would say. Even those organizations who are young and are beginning, or the ones which have been there for some time. You mentioned, things being contract driven, and I'll particularly focus on that aspect. One of the biggest pain points we also realized while we started looking at creating our product and service IOUX was what Dr. Kumar also mentioned. The biggest challenge that contract enforcement in our country is so difficult, and one of the primary reasons is those contracts are deficient or at times non-existent. Like you said, people are sending goods to their buyers without creating invoices on that particular date. They are entering into long-term supply arrangements with their buyers without having put down on paper that this is the credit period in which the buyer will probably pay up, definitely pay up. These are the quality parameters which need to be followed. If any dispute is there, this is going to be a process to resolve that dispute. What are the other checks and balances and other terms? So when all that is not properly listed down, and I would say, like you said, that in any industry, you need to formulate that in a very business-like manner. Your advocates can sometimes present you with certain agreements which are too harsh. So how do you make sure that your business is secure, scalable, all the risks are mitigated, whereas the business should also continue? Sometimes we all feel the advocates can give us the certain provisions which are not digested or digestible from our clients. We need to set that balance also. So for that purpose, I'll share with you that IUX created more than 500 agreements, sitting down with the expert lawyers as well as people in the business to formulate certain terms and conditions for different purposes. Say if you want to supply material to somebody on payment on credit, there's a material which is being supplied for payment on delivery. There are certain advances to be made for certain samples to be created. You require, to engage the services of a consultant. What should be the contract, the non-disclosures that you need to execute with them? Certain work or service agreements which or contractually, you need those people or that assignments to be done. What sort of agreements should you go in for there? If you have leased certain equipment, or you as a company want to lease some equipment or property to another person, what should be the documentation for that? So there are several aspects of documentation that we covered, and the the start we did was creating a large, rich pool of these documents and contracts, which are obviously editable by the person when they want to use it. So, today, obviously, the avoiding the delays and defaults in realization of your sales invoices and bills, whether for cash sales or credit sales, for an MSME are absolutely essential. Even the checks received by them for realization are often dishonored, and they can remain unpaid. So you also need to be very, very sure of the genuineness of your buyers. So how can you quickly check the credentials of your buyers? That can sometimes be a very daunting task. Do you want to take a credit rating of the buyer before supplying them material, on giving them clean credit for 90 days? Don't you want to assess what is the market position of that buyer? Are they paying people on time? So is there a way to check that? Sometimes a large buyer might say, I am going to deal with you for the first time. So how can I ensure that you will offer the quality goods? You can make the deliveries on time. You can even scale up when it is required. So how do you address those aspects for a genuine buyer, but who wants to be very, very sure of the supplier? And from your side, as a MSME, you would want to give that confidence to your large buyers. So if all this can be properly documented, and the business owner you will see that they are able to scale up much faster, which Mr. Chawla was also sharing, and they are able to plan their operations in a much better way. If you know this, your payments are going to be received in a particular time and duration, you'll be able to plan your other expenses in line with that. In any machineries need to be added, if any working capital from bank needs to be raised. And similarly, what are your arrangements with your employees, whether part-time, full-time, whether contractual? Are those documentation done very, very properly or not? All these proper contracts, when they are properly worded, they in that ways will lead to proper systems, because the processes, the terms are detailed in the agreement. Once they are followed in principle and very, very properly, the whole thing becomes like a well-established process. So we thought of creating a system where today, as I said, not just these templates are available. Small businesses can pick up these templates. They want to send it to their buyer or their supplier. They are able to send it on the fly, whether on the mobile app or through the web. They are able to immediately authenticate that the person on the other side in a very, very non-invasive way by Aadhaar or by PAN. If any document requires e-stamp paper, उसके ऊपर पूरे कंट्री में कहीं का भी ई स्टैम्प पेपर लगाना है, वो आपको प्लेटफॉर्म बता देगा कि ये किस तरह का एग्रीमेंट है, तो आपको कितना वैल्यू का उस स्टेट में स्टैम्प पेपर लगाना है, ई स्टैम्प पेपर वहीं लग जाएगा. उसके बाद आप उसको डिजिटली साइन कर सकते हैं. वेदर आप अपना आधार नंबर डालेंगे, आधार नंबर से डिजिटल साइन कर सकते हैं, दूसरे इलेक्ट्रॉनिक सिग्नेचर्स भी लगा सकते हैं. एंड वंस दैट इज डन, द IUX प्लेटफॉर्म gives you a legal report, absolute formal authentication that this document had so many pages, so many people were party to it, their eKYC was done at so and so time. This is when their e-signatures happen. So it is implicitly a digital notary that this contract, this invoice has been confirmed by the buyer or this or whoever you are dealing with. If at times we have clients where you wanted, say, a person to give us a particular declaration on video also. So we are able to, custom pick some content from the contract, and the person on the other side who may be sitting in Bangalore is able to just read out the text and say that. So that's an additional video recording you've got. So this is in generic. You can complete your complete digital documentation from the document to eKYC, e-stamping, e-signing, document report, all of it absolutely in the most integrated way, seamless way on IIUX app, as well as the web. And I'll be happy to, share with Zumair, if you provide us the list. I'll be happy to share, send free coupons to all the participants. I would love for them to test, all the wonderful contracts which are available for them to download and execute them online. You can obviously customize them. Apart from that, there's another, what Mr. Chawla shared. We've created a very, very particular system for which is very, very required for the MSMEs, that they can just click a picture. Their material is ready. The truck is all loaded. Now, before you send this truck to the buyer's premises, you can just click a picture of the invoice, upload the invoice. The details of the invoice are captured. Just put the mobile number of the buyer. It will be immediately intimated to the buyer. The buyer can view the invoice. The buyer can just put digital signatures over there. Again, they don't need any dongle, or they don't need to call their CA. Whoever is the relevant authorized person, you can enter their mobile number and you could have them sign it. Along with, if you also want a bill of exchange to be digitally executed automatically while sending it, you can just click that option कि इसके साथ में bill of exchange भी बन जाए. तो अगर बिल आपने इनवॉइस में मेंशन करा है कि 60 days में आपको पेमेंट होना है, तो बिल ऑफ एक्सचेंज बायर उसको साइन कर देगा, which will entitles you as a promissory negotiable instrument like a promissory note or a bill of exchange, जो कि आप अपने बैंक से डिस्काउंटिंग या फाइनेंसिंग उसके बेसिस पे करा सकते हैं. आपके पास इनवॉइस रेडी है, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट रेडी है, बिल ऑफ एक्सचेंज आपका साइन हो गया, आपने जिससे शेयर किया, अब आपको he is obliged to pay. Like Mr. Chawla said, when you have done very, very proper documentation with somebody, the chances of default from that person वो बहुत कम हो जाते हैं. Delays के chances बहुत कम हो जाते हैं. IUX सिस्टम में आपने कोई कॉन्ट्रैक्चुअल कमिटमेंट बनाई है, किसी को इनवॉइस पे करना है, उसको उस डेट से पहले जेंटल रिमाइंडर्स भी चले जाएंगे, आपका इनवॉइस ड्यू हो रहा है. वी आर ऑल्सो लिंकिंग अप विद financing companies like Power to SME and certain other institutions. ये जो आपने इनवॉइसेस अपलोड करे हैं अपने कस्टमर से कंफर्म कराने के लिए, इन इनवॉइसेस के लिए आपको फाइनेंसिंग भी हमारे चैनल के थ्रू, IUX के थ्रू आप ले पाएंगे. So in nutshell, we've created an entire digital system. On one hand, अब दूसरा एक और प्रोडक्ट हमने क्रिएट किया है जिसमें आपको एक पोस्ट डेटेड चेक आपका बायर देता है. आप जस्ट उस चेक की, आपका बायर चाहे आपके सामने बैठा है, आप उस चेक की एक फोटो खींचिए, चेक की डिटेल्स कैप्चर हो जाएंगी, ऑटोमेटिकली वो एक अंडरटेकिंग के अंदर पॉपुलेट हो जाएगी. वो अंडरटेकिंग आपके बायर को अपने फोन पे, ऐप में, वेब पे नजर आएगा. वो उस अंडरटेकिंग को स्टैम्प पेपर साथ में लग जाएगा आपकी स्टेट का, अंडरटेकिंग को एग्जीक्यूट कर देगा वो डिजिटल सिग्नेचर्स से. अब सपोज कीजिए वो चेक डिफॉल्ट होता है. नॉर्मली क्या होता है, जब आप नेगोशिएट अपने चेक डिसऑनर के केसेस में आप कोर्ट जाते हैं, तो आपको 1-1.5 साल तो लग जाता है कई बार प्रूव करने में कि आपकी रैली में लेनदारी थी, उसकी देनदारी थी. नाउ यहाँ पर अंडरटेकिंग उसने दिया है, चेक की फोटो पे उसने एंडोर्स किया है, पूरा एक्नॉलेज करा है इन द मोस्ट लीगली कंप्लायंट वे, जिसमें सब मेंशन्ड है कि ही कैन नॉट एस्केप फ्रॉम दिस ड्यू दैट ही इज liable to be making to you. Ab on that very day, we have seen the commercial courts are giving 30% to 50% award interim on the first hearing. The evidence is there, the entire chain of evidence is there, and the judges have discretion to award 30% to 50% of the ड्यू अमाउंट देन एंड देयर, और बाकी अमाउंट की वो इंस्टॉलमेंट बना देते हैं। तो आपके एक डिफॉल्टिंग पेमेंट डिफॉल्ट करने वाले के लिए उस कमिटमेंट से भागना बहुत मुश्किल होता है। डॉक्टर कुमार, इफ मैं आपसे जानना चाहूंगा, आप लोग इंडस्ट्री में और बाकी लोग जो यहाँ पर हैं, हम लोग कितने लोग हैं इंडस्ट्री में जो अपने लॉन्ग टर्म बायर से भी परेशान रहे? अपने लॉन्ग टर्म
I
बायर
think this is a big problem, as you rightly mentioned. The payments is the biggest problem. Delayed payments from the large corporates, including government organizations. We have some questions also. I think they are also raising the same issue. कि payments time से आते नहीं है.
राइट सर,
And, as you rightly mentioned, these solutions which you have created may be of great help to these people. In fact, in formalizing their transactions, so
And
that
that
they
is-
can, yeah.
Absolutely, sir. In the most legally compliant way. मैं आपसे जैसे आपने mention किया हमारे प्रोफाइल में, we have already secured 2 patents. 2 more patents are going to be secured soon. हमने, since we have created the system to be very very authentic, people who are signing, उनका एक quick KYC भी हो गया है. They cannot escape from that commitment. आप IUX के ऊपर आप एक अपने बायर से मास्टर एग्रीमेंट कर लीजिए, आपने उसको लगातार सप्लाई करते हैं. I would say in 300 rupees, you can execute your master agreement once. And for every invoice, you may be sending one invoice to your buyer every week. That every invoice you can just get confirmed for 50 rupees. For that small amount of 300 rupees once and then 50 rupees for every invoice, when you are sending goods, maybe 5 lakh, 10 lakh, 15 lakh goods to your buyer, I think that's absolute zero cost. You are getting a certainty that your buyer has a proper legal obligation to make that payment to you, which is the biggest problem as when we speak with industry. So there we feel not just the other contracts, but each and every invoice needs to be properly acknowledged and received from your buyer. All that, sir, is I'll be happy to share more details, but I think we are already.
You can share the contact details also at the end of the
Sure,
program. So
sure,
that
sir, I'll do that.
people who are interested, they can get in touch with you. So
Sure.
I think it was a very useful inputs that you gave, particularly resolving the problems for which strategies have to be made. In fact, it's very complementary, both the presentations that were made today. They're complementary to each other. I think ultimately the objective is scaling up of the business enterprises, removing the hurdles in growth of the businesses, and also meeting compliances. Compliances in a manner which really reduces the cost and also makes the life easier. So I am sure that with these inputs, I think the business enterprises and participants are going to have a lot of comfort. We have certain questions. In fact, in the panel, Zumair, if you can go through questions, as I have seen very interesting questions. One question, Mr. Sandeep Nanda has raised. I was reading that question. Zumair, can you read?
Sure, sir. Sir, can we go from the first question that we?
Yeah, please start from the first.
Okay. It is just a general comment. So, any of the speakers who has anything to add to this, you may please go ahead. Mr. Rumi Daruwala, he is saying that government has increased compliance and regulation in India, which is a big barrier in terms of resources and finance. He has pointed out 5-6 points. Various KYC is required, including banks and financial institutions. This is one. Second is Medical Device Act is unfortunately brought in by big corporates. GST is another one where which has gone terribly wrong with over 1,600 amendments. Performance guarantees misused by institutes by claiming the bank's guarantee without any reason. And no government agency, including RBI or any other, cannot be met or communicated for issues. What is the solution?
Well, I think, let me take this question. This is very, this question comprises of many questions inside. Well, I would say compliances, as you rightly mentioned, compliances is a problem. And we are tackling with that problem. We are handling that problem on day-to-day basis. The government is also sensitive and they are holding these workshops. As I mentioned that I attended one workshop recently where the Government was very clear, and they mentioned, the ex-CEO Niti Aayog was stating that remove all the unnecessary compliances. So he said, remove all the unnecessary compliances. Reduce the frequency of filing of returns. Reduce the frequency of filing of returns. Why the returns have to be filed every month, every quarter? If you are required to file a return, file it in a year or 3 years. Every time you have to ask, you are asked to file a return. So reduce the frequency. Simplify the format of return from 10 pages, 5 pages, 8 pages, 20 pages to 1 page only. Make it 1 page. And fourth that he mentioned, it is very useful, issues that he narrated. And these are all related to compliances. So when you say and I say, okay, this is from the seeker side. But when government itself is saying, the government authorities are saying, and they are the people who have to in fact implement these, I am sure that this is going to be taken up very fast. And as we know, the country is progressing on these issues. A lot of compliances have been reduced. A lot of compliances have been digitized, but still we are, we have to go a long way. I agree with you. Second thing regarding the performance guarantee that you mentioned, the banks invoke the performance guarantees. I agree with you in cases of disputes or some problems, but this is the, I would say the government may not be able to give any standard guidelines on this, because it is for the bank to see, between the bank and the customer to see how this can be resolved. But let me give you one information, that instead of performance bank guarantee, which involves issuance of a bank guarantee and deposit of money as a margin money or security or something, the government is coming out, they've already declared as a policy, with the security bonds. Security bonds to be issued by insurance companies. So it will be kind of an insurance product, which will be issued by the insurance company as a standby for ensuring the performance of a contract. Hopefully that should see the light of the day this year, because it has already been approved and the ministry has already declared the intention. So I can only, mention these. You mentioned eKYC and all that, delayed payments. Of course, they are the problems, and some solution here and there, we are able to find out between ourselves only. And we have requested the government also that they should make the facilitation councils, MSC facilitation councils, very robust and effective, and give them legal teeth so that the payment delays are handled by them, not exceeding whatever time 90 days has been given to them. I hope I have addressed some of the issues. If not,
yes, sir. Mr. Sandeep Nanda, he has mentioned 3 points. He's saying, even being a MSME and NFIC registered company, we are not getting EMD and tender fee exemption by the government tendering authorities. The second point he has mentioned is, government tenderers are floating tenders with particular tender specifications with specific make of their choose against CCI norms. And in spite of writing, they are not changing this practice. And third is again delayed payment from the government organizations. So
yeah.
These
delayed payment, of course, this is a concern. The ministry and government, everybody is aware. Even the finance minister mentioned in the COVID package also that they are going to resolve the delayed payment problem. Some instructions have been given to the government authorities, but then they cannot give instructions to corporates. What they say is the TREDs have been launched, and all those bills can be launched on the TREDs for discounting. And under the MSME Development Act, the provision for delayed payment interest beyond 45 days has been prescribed. MSC facilitation councils have been established. So all this framework has been done, but delayed payment is still continuing. Maybe with the solution that Vineet gave, that if you have a formal, and of course, Mr. Pankaj Chawla also mentioned, that if you are formalizing a contract by way of an advance written agreement, when somebody is a regular buyer, maybe corporate or company, that agreement has to be given. Even if the agreement is not signed, the invoices and documents, when they are accepted by them, naturally they should be honoring the payments in time. So these are the outside solution, but the government, of course, has to take care. Regarding your other issues, can I go to your other issues, or you want to add something more? You can go ahead.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, Mr. Sandeep Nanda has wanted to speak, so I'm just
Yeah.
putting
You
him
can
on.
speak. You can speak. You first unmute yourself, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Saab. Thank you very much. You have said very interesting things. You know, when you started talking about bank guarantee, that to a performance bank guarantee. See, we are in the, first of all, let me quickly introduce myself. We are in the business of doing SITC, means total turnkey project, and that to a lifeline for any hospital by doing medical gas pipeline system, creating modular operation theaters, nurse calls, pneumatic tube and all. So, and even fire alarm system. See, what happened is, when we submit a bank guarantee, which is first of all, the manufacturers, we get the material from manufacturer with 1 year, all our international suppliers. Then they want us to give a guarantee for 5 years, then followed by another 5 years. So they want a performance bank guarantee after completion of the work for 5 years, then followed by another 5 years to claim for CMC period. Now, what has happened is recently, if you have observed, the bankers have started writing to, especially to the government buyers, if the expiry date gets over, they have a right to claim even 1 year after that, which is, you know, very surprising. So, and lot of mischievous people are there in the government authorities who tries to blackmail us, and who unnecessarily write to the bank, and bank says, I am liable to pay. This is something very strange. When the expiry date is, it's expired, under what right bank is writing with one straight line, and also you can claim for another 1 year. That's a very.
If I may come in,
Vineet, yes, you can answer that. Yes.
Yeah, sir. So it's a very valid point, Mr. Nanda, what you have raised, and we have come across such bank guarantees in the past, and you need to really emphasize, because now that's actually what you mentioned has become a RBI norm. RBI has told banks that they need to honor the bank guarantees for 1 year after the expiry of the term of the bank guarantee. But there is a rider over it. The rider is that the dishonor of the obligation should have happened during the tenancy or pendency of the original pendency of the bank guarantee. So if the bank guarantee, say you issued from 1st January 2022 and it is valid till 31st December 22, and your the other party goes to encash your bank guarantee on, say, April of 23, they need to prove that there was a default which occurred during 2020 and not beyond 31st December 2022. This is very, very important. Now, how to ensure that if you have very, very proper documentation which you originally did with your client, then in that case, you put it over there that any breach of any condition which may amount to encashment of bank guarantee, that needs to be notified to you within a specific period, 1 week, 10 days. So practically, by what, 10th January, 15th January, if they are not notified of any breach, then they have no ground to tomorrow encash that bank, try to encash that bank guarantee in April or May, or blackmail the person who's given the bank guarantee. So this needs to be put in very, very clearly.
No.
Can I add one more thing before you come in, Mr. Nanda? See, when the period of the bank guarantee expires at the end of 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, okay, that bank guarantee in original has to be returned back by the department.
Fine.
If you insist that my period has passed, my contract is over, now you should return the bank guarantee to me. If they return the bank guarantee, that time it will be easier, in fact, on completion of the 5 years, 3 years period, validity period of the bank guarantee. They should return.
They don't do
They
that.
can't keep the bank guarantee for another 1 year, because there might be a possibility that you may have to. So that is irregular on the part of the department also.
That is one thing. Yeah, that is one thing. Another is, they don't do it, and you must have seen, and we have seen, even if the old bank guarantees where this clause was not there of 1 year, getting your expired bank guarantee, it has taken from the hospital more than 6 months. The particular guy needs something, you know, that is again a problem. But they do not realize as a MSME, kindly protect us. They do not realize our 100% money is stuck. Either a limit is stuck or 100% money is stuck. Just because without submitting original bank guarantee to the bank, they will never do this. So there should be an option also. If the particular party is not giving, say for another 3 months, then it is automatically they should have they can take you know, an indemnity from us and credit that amount
and close the
bank
account.
guarantee.
Close the bank guarantee.
Right. And
can you write this in a small note to the power to SME so that we can?
I will do that, sir. The second thing is what our earlier gentlemen were saying. See what happened, sir. What they do is, like in my case, they, the party was a particular company. I don't want to name it in open. So it's a very big, one of the reputed construction company. So what they did is, they did not mention any reason. They just sent that this please extend before the expiry, right? We said there is no obligation pending from our side. It is all your side pending. Neither you are giving us extension of time, nor you are giving us clearances. So where are we for defaulting in that? So they do that, then they register that they have started asking before the expiry of the period, and banker says, "Unka to aa gaya, ab aap bataiye kya karna hai." So you keep on saying, but the claim remain with them. They misuse that 1 year claim. This is a very, very sad affair, and I do not know how RBI has this question must be raised by MSME to RBI. On what ground? Why are you extending this 1 year when the guarantee period expires? What is the reason behind it? Was there any court case? So if there was a court case related to particular case, that everybody coming in future should not get penalized.
No, they should file the claim within the validity period.
Correct.
As simple as that.
Yeah.
If there is no claim within the validity period, it means there is no claim. There is no claim. Why?
Yeah.
So why should you give them time after that? I mean, there
is no reason.
I agree with you.
We suffer on that.
We'll take up this issue.
Thank you so much. Another thing is, sir, as I was discussing, what is happening is neither they are allowing us. We are in addition to MSME, we are also registered with NSIC, which says as a single government policy that you are exempted from all EMDs and tender fees, right? Be it any time. We have written many letters. Nobody is bothered. Like institute like AIMS, HSCC, their own bodies consultant.
You write to, let me advise you, I have been myself chairman of NSIC and we have handled lakhs of these cases. In fact, these are the government guidelines. This is not NSIC guidelines.
Correct. It is a single government policy.
These are the finance ministry guidelines.
Right.
If you want, you can take the relevant provision of the finance ministry directives also. This is there in the FR rules of the government of India. It is not NSIC which has made.
That is true, but their own people, we do that. We give them every time the copies of these things. राष्ट्रपति जो भी अपना होता है, प्रेसिडेंट रूल का जो भी है, सब कुछ देते हैं, but they don't listen. They don't.
नंदा साहब, ऐसा है कि इस देश में कोई आदमी बात मानने के लिए तैयार ही नहीं है. रूल ही दिखा सकते हैं आप.
हम तो शुक्र मनाते हैं.
लॉ ही दिखा सकते हैं. हम लॉ ही मानने के लिए तैयार नहीं है.
हाँ, MSME के अंडर कम से कम आप आए हैं, हम आपको बात तो कर सकते हैं. अदरवाइज इस देश में तो बात भी नहीं कर सकते थे.
आप NSIC को लिखिए. हाँ, वो भी आपका केस एग्री नहीं कर रहा. आप उसमें NSIC को लिखिए कि हम आपसे रजिस्टर्ड हैं.
हाँ जी.
और आपका ये रूल है और ये डिपार्टमेंट हमारी बात नहीं सुन रहा है, तो आप उनको टेकअप करिए.
वो कुछ नहीं करते सर. हम आप MSME के थ्रू, आपके थ्रू आगे बढ़ेंगे. आपको हमारे को जहाँ पेश करना होगा
हम टेकअप करेंगे.
तथ्यों के साथ, एविडेंसेस के साथ, we'll be ready to.
We will take up.
Yeah, because it is in the common interest of all MSME.
Yes, we will take up.
Nanda ji, one more thing, sorry on this. Pankaj aside, आप एक काम और कर सकते हैं. आप CP ग्राम्स में रेलेवेंट डिपार्टमेंट में ग्रीवेंस रेज कर सकते हैं.
अच्छा सर, मेरे को सर अगर लिंक मिल जाएगा तो मैं कर देता हूँ सर, प्लीज. इफ यू,
मैं दे देता हूँ सर. वो डायरेक्ट PMO ऑफिस से डायरेक्ट होता है. उसके रेजोल्यूशंस फास्टर हैं.
वो ग्रीवेंस का कर चुके हैं सर हम एक बारी. पौंडीचेरी का, हाँ, पौंडीचेरी का केस था. यहाँ से हमने LG को भी किया. वहां से वो ग्रीवेंस का नंबर आ जाता है, पर आज तक 4 साल हो गए, वो हमारे को पैसा नहीं दिलवा पाए. सरकारी अस्पताल से।
नहीं, सो ग्रीवेंस का पर्पस पैसा दिलाना नहीं है, ग्रीवेंस का पर्पस है कोई ऐसा पॉलिसी है जो इम्प्लीमेंट होना चाहिए और नहीं हुआ है,
अच्छा,
वो उसके लिए हेल्प करते हैं, डायरेक्ट करते हैं रेलेवेंट पर्सन को एक्शन लेने के लिए।
all right, we'll do
उस
that.
तरह के ग्रीवेंस वहां होते हैं।
Yeah, we are ready to do. I mean, हम तो खुद ही फॉलो करना चाहते हैं।
आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड।
एक सर और डॉक्टर साहब की जो स्पेसिफिकेशंस लिखते हैं हॉस्पिटल्स में, वो सरकारी लोग जो उनके चॉइस के वेंडर हो जाते हैं। जैसे कि पहले क्या होता था कि हमारे मेडिकल गैस वर्सेस मेडिकल गैस का टेंडर निकलता था, तो सारे बिडर्स आपस में एक दूसरे के साथ करने लग जाते थे। पहले वो मेक्स डाल देते थे किसी के फेवर, धीरे धीरे हमने मेक्स हटाए। मेक्स के बाद उन्होंने स्पेसिफिकेशन ऐसी लिखने शुरू कर दी कि वो उन्हीं पर्टिकुलर मेक्स को ही रेफर करती हैं, दूसरा है उसको बिड नहीं कर सकते। फिर उसके बाद वो हमारे को बिड करने से पहले मैन्युफैक्चरर अथॉरिटी लेटर मांगते हैं। जब आपने अगर मैन्युफैक्चरर अथॉरिटी लेटर मैन्युफैक्चरर एक ने और एक्सक्लूसिव मांगते हैं कि पंकज जी की कंपनी है, पंकज जी का ब्रांड है और संदीप नंदा की कंपनी, और संदीप नंदा को पंकज जी एक्सक्लूसिव दे रहे हैं कि मैं आपके अलावा और किसी को नहीं दूंगा और मेरा मेक है, तो अब पंकज जी का माल कंपीट कैसे होगा? अगर मैंने उनका कर दिया, दूसरा भाई दूसरे के साथ कर लेता है और वो तीनों लोग जो बिडर हैं वो मिल जाते हैं और अपनी चॉइस से वो चलाते हैं टेंडर। सर आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही।
डॉक्टर कुमार, यू आर ऑन म्यूट।
या आप अपने ओपन टेंडर की बात कर रहे हैं या जेम के थ्रू जो
ओपन टेंडर सर? हाँ,
तो अभी भी गवर्नमेंट डिपार्टमेंट्स ओपन टेंडरिंग में है, क्योंकि अदरवाइज दे हैव बीन डायरेक्टेड टू गो थ्रू जेम, और जेम में ये प्रॉब्लम नहीं है।
नहीं, जेम में नहीं कर रहे सर, वो अभी 12 15 करोड़ के टेंडर हैं जो ओपन ही करते हैं अभी भी। और इवन वो पता क्या करते हैं, सारी स्पेसिफिकेशन इंपोर्टेड की लिखते हैं 100%, इवन मेक्स भी इंपोर्टेड डाल देते हैं कई बारी। और उसके बाद में फिर जो नीचे एक वो अपना जो 4 वाला इंडिया मेक इन इंडिया का डाल देते हैं, which has got no relevance.
I agree, these are department related problem. If you raise these issues ना, एक्चुअली क्या है, अब इश्यूज रेज करने में क्या है, यू गेट ए बैड नेम। वो डिपार्टमेंट कहेगा जी ये तो कंप्लेंट ही करते रहते हैं।
और सर कोई अभी हमें कहते हैं, यू आर एब्सोल्युटली राइट, वो कहता है फोन एचएससीसी और नंदा जी आपका हम ना वो देख रहे हैं, आप ना ज्यादा मेल मत डाला करो, फिर ऊपर वाले ना बड़ा गुस्सा कर जाते हैं। मैं कहा यार कोई बात नहीं, मैं दोनों हाथ खड़ा होकर बदनाम हुए तो नाम नहीं है, नहीं कोई बात नहीं, किसी ने तो
आप इन इश्यूज को रेज नहीं करेंगे,
करना है ना सर।
आपको करना चाहिए, ये इशू रेज नहीं करेंगे तो कोई नहीं देखेगा।
बिल्कुल सर, हाँ, अगर एक रेगुलेटरी बनने की जा रही है, कोई रेगुलेटरी नहीं करेंगे तो हर बंदा कोर्ट में ही जाके खड़ा हो जाएगा, तो फिर किसको जस्टिस मिलेगा?
हाँ, सिंगल साहब कुछ कहना चाहते हैं? सिंगल साहब बताइए, अनम्यूट कर लीजिए सिंगल साहब।
जी थैंक यू सर। कुमार साहब, आगे भी कई बार बात हुई है, लेकिन एक नई और प्रॉब्लम आज शुरू हो गई हरियाणा में।
क्या?
जो समाधान के केसेस होते हैं,
हाँ,
उसके अंदर सेक्शन 18(5) बड़ा क्लियर है एक्ट का कि आपको 90 दिन में प्रोसेस पूरा करना है।
बिल्कुल।
अब मजे की बात क्या हो रही है कि रेफर होने में साल भर लगता है, समाधान के बाद हरियाणा वाले रेफर ही नहीं करते। उसके बाद हियरिंग करते हैं 2 या 3, उसके बाद डेफर टू डेफर करते हैं, रेफर नहीं करते। अब अल्टीमेटली रेफर हो जाता है, तो आर्बिट्रेटर को बोल दिया कि आपने 90 दिन के अंदर अपनी आर्बिट्रेशन कंप्लीट करके हमको रिपोर्ट भेजनी है। उनको रोक दिया कि आप प्रोनाउंस नहीं करोगे अवार्ड अपना। उसके बाद क्या हो रहा है, रिपोर्ट उनको आ जाती है। एग्जाम्पल दे रहा हूँ आपको, 3 फरवरी को पंचकुला में रिपोर्टें पहुंच गई, उनके यहाँ डायरी हो चुका है, और आज तक उनके अवार्ड नहीं बने। मेरे से पहले के बेचारे बैठे हैं बहुत सारे लोग जिनके अवार्ड वहां हीप अप हो रहे हैं पंचकुला के अंदर। व्हाट इज दिस ऑल गोइंग ऑन अगेंस्ट द लॉ? सेक्शन 18(5) तो बड़ा क्लियर है, इसको कोई छेड़ना के मतलब नहीं था। तो दैट मींस वी हैव टू गो फॉर ए रिट अगेन। क्या कर रहे हैं हम लोग? समाधान को नाश कर दिया इन्होंने।
नहीं, मैं समझ रहा हूँ, ये प्रॉब्लम्स और लोगों ने भी रेज की हैं और मिनिस्ट्री की नॉलेज में है कि फैसिलिटेशन काउंसिल जो है ना,
हाँ,
समाधान से पहले आप सीधे भी तो फैसिलिटेशन काउंसिल के पास जाते हैं ना।
हाँ,
समाधान में तो एंट्री करते ही हैं।
हाँ,
उससे पहले डायरेक्ट आप एमएसएमई फैसिलिटेशन काउंसिल को भेज दीजिए सीधे।
समाधान क्या है वहां पर, वहां भेज दिया, फिर भेजने के बाद क्या हो रहा है?
उसके बाद
हमको भेजो,
उसके बाद
वैल्यू करते नहीं वो।
हाँ,
वो कहते हैं आपको दोबारा से 4 कापियां हमको भेजनी है।
नहीं, मैं मान रहा हूँ आपकी बात, ये डिले की प्रॉब्लम है वहां पे। हम लोगों ने कई बार मिनिस्ट्री से
सालों साल लग रहे हैं,
क्योंकि अकाउंटेबिलिटी नहीं है और कोई लीगल ऐसा कोई स्टैट्यूटरी बाइंडिंग नहीं है। उन्होंने ये तो कह दिया 90 डेज के अंदर करना है, अगर 90 डेज के अंदर नहीं हुआ तो क्या होगा, ये नहीं।
उसके लिए आई एम फाइलिंग ए रिट इन पंजाब हाई कोर्ट।
हाँ, तो उसके लिए
आई एम ऑलरेडी प्रोसीडिंग विद रिट पिटीशन।
एक तो वो है लीगल सोल्यूशन है, दूसरा एमएसएमई चैंपियन में अगर आप एक नोट भेज दें।
चैंपियन को मैंने सब नोट भेज रखे, कुछ नहीं हो
क्योंकि हम हम उनसे बात करते हैं तो कहते हैं स्पेसिफिक केस लाइए, कौन सा केस है।
बिल्कुल भेजे हुए, मैंने तो जितनी मेल करता हूँ काफी चैंपियन को भेजता हूँ मैं।
नहीं, आप सर को भेज दीजिए ना, इस प्लेटफॉर्म पे भेज दीजिए ना सर। आप
कोई रिप्लाई नहीं आता चैंपियन का जी।
चैंपियन से भी जवाब नहीं आता, तो आप ऐसा करिए, जो भी स्पेसिफिक केस है वो पावर टू एसएमई को भिजवा दीजिए, फिर हम टेकअप कर लेंगे।
हाँ, हम मतलब एग्जांपल देता हूँ आपको, 3-4 केस का एग्जांपल दे।
फिर उनको कम से कम उनको फैसिलिटेशन काउंसिल को भिजवा के उनसे कहेंगे भाई इनको आप रिजॉल्व कराइए जल्दी से जल्दी। और
वो रिजॉल्व कर दे, अपना सिस्टम ठीक करें ना,
सिस्टम ठीक करें, बिल्कुल।
हाँ, वो करवाना आपने।
ठीक है, ठीक है, चलिए और कोई क्वेश्चन हो तो ठीक है, नहीं तो हम काफी डिस्कशन करते रहेंगे। बहुत अच्छी डिस्कशन हुई है, बड़े प्रैक्टिकल इश्यूज डिस्कस हुए हैं और हमारे स्पीकर्स भी बहुत बढ़िया उन्होंने सॉल्यूशंस दिए हैं। तो जुमेर, I think we can close because there is no other question.
Yes, sir. There are only the general comments, rest of them, and both our speakers have already shared their contact details. So any of the participants, if they have any query to be discussed separately with the speakers, they can definitely go ahead and contact the speakers on their contact details. And with these words, I would like to thank Dr. Kumar. And now, Dr. Kumar, may please grant a vote of thanks to our speakers and participants. Over to you.
No, I think I think we are very enlightened today with the discussions that we had. A lot of issues have been explained by Mr. Pankaj Chawla as well as Mr. Vineet Sachdev, and I found that both the advices given by them are complementary. In nutshell, what we are going to do is that we are going to formalize all our transactions, business transactions, by way of contracting them. I mean, putting them into a legal framework, जिससे कि कम से कम हमारी लीगल अथॉरिटी तो हो जाती है कुछ एक्शन लेने की, अदरवाइज ओरल तो कोई सुनता ही नहीं। That is one thing. Second thing is that wherever we are finding it difficult, the government authorities are not listening and they are not abiding by the law and rules. Because government ने अगर एक law बना दिया और rules बना दिए और guidelines दे दी, तो at least compliance should be ensured. तो एक reason तो ये होता है कि डिपार्टमेंट में जो बैठे हुए हैं लोग जो डील कर रहे हैं, उनको रूल और लॉ और प्रोसीजर के बारे में पता ही नहीं। पहली प्रॉब्लम तो सबसे बड़ी यही आती है। तो उनको पहले तो अवेयर कराया जाए बाय राइटिंग, नॉट बाय ओरल। ओरल सुनते नहीं वो भी, तो राइटिंग में अवेयर कराया जाए, और उसके बाद भी अगर नहीं सुनते तो इट हैज टू बी टेकन अप एट द अप्रोप्रिएट लेवल, एस्केलेट करना पड़ेगा उसको। देयर आर वेरियस फोरम्स गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने बनाए हैं, हर एक मिनिस्ट्री ने अपना फोरम बनाया है कि आपकी कोई प्रॉब्लम है आप स्पेसिफिक केस के साथ रेफर करिए। मैं एक मतलब पॉजिटिव थिंकिंग का आदमी हूं, मैं समझता हूं कि अगर आप इसको एस्केलेट करेंगे और अप्रोप्रिएट लेवल पे जाएंगे, थोड़ी मेहनत करनी पड़ती है और उसका रिजोल्यूशन होता है। और जहां पे कहीं जरूरत है रेगुलेशन को चेंज कराने की, अब जैसे बैंक गारंटी के केस में उन्होंने बताया कि 1 साल का पीरियड आरबीआई ने ऑलरेडी अलाउ कर रखा है। भाई क्यों अलाउ कर रखा है? आपको अगर 1 साल की जगह आप ज्यादा वेट करना चाहते हैं, 1 महीना वेट कर लीजिए, 2 महीना वेट कर लीजिए। भाई आपको लगता है कि बैंक गारंटी कोई टाइम से इन कैश नहीं करा पाया, अदरवाइज तो टाइम से वैलिडिटी के अंदर ही लेना चाहिए उसको पैसा। आप 10-15 दिन, महीने भर का टाइम दे दीजिए, 1 साल तो बहुत ज्यादा होता है एक्चुअली। तो ऐसे इश्यूज को, रेगुलेशंस को चेंज कराने की जरूरत है। तो ये एक कंटिन्यूअस प्रोसेस है, जैसे कि गवर्नमेंट ने भी बताया पिछले दिनों कि हम ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस पे इतना काम कर चुके हैं, पर आज इतना काम करने के बावजूद भी हम कहाँ खड़े हैं हमें पता है। Hundreds and hundreds of compliances are still, are troubling us. And I don't know if 4 years of hard work has taken us to this level. I don't know, to improve further as per our expectations, how many more years are going to be spent. But at least we know that we are aware. We keep pursuing, we keep writing. At least from my level, I keep writing to the government. And I'm happy that many of the things have been addressed also. Mr. Srivastava wants to say at the end. श्रीवास्तव जी, आप 1 मिनट में कुछ बोलना चाहते हैं तो बोलिए प्लीज, अदरवाइज वी आर गोइंग टू क्लोज दिस। थैंक यू। अनम्यूट कर लीजिए आप।
या, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर द अपॉर्चुनिटी सर, एंड गुड इवनिंग टू एवरीबॉडी। क्विकली, हमारी जो प्रॉब्लम है, वी नॉर्मली डील विद एरोस्पेस एंड डिफेंस सेगमेंट, एंड जितने गवर्नमेंट टेंडर्स हैं उसमें दे आर ऑल ऑन ई प्रोक्योरमेंट पोर्टल्स, और आपको उनको मैंडेटरीली एक्सेप्ट करना ही पड़ता है, अदरवाइज यू कैन नॉट participate in that opportunity.
Yes.
But those conditions are so biased and favorable to the buyers that it becomes very, very difficult to comply with them if you win the order. So can we do something about this?
We can surely.
As a body or something that these can be.
We can. There are 2 ways
fair trade
this can be
ensured.
2 ways. One is writing to GEM itself. ये आप GEM पोर्टल की बात कर रहे हैं क्योंकि उन्हीं के थ्रू ही गवर्नमेंट प्रोक्योरमेंट कर रही है अभी तो सारा. GEM की बात कर रहे हैं आप?
नहीं सर, हम e-procurement portals, deaf procurement, e-procurement portal.
Concerned department को ही लिखना पड़ेगा कि these conditions are basically, देखिए गवर्नमेंट की जो गाइडलाइंस हैं they are very clear. मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ फाइनेंस की गाइडलाइंस है, प्रोक्योरमेंट रूल्स अगर आप पढ़ें मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ फाइनेंस की वेबसाइट पे जाके, वो बिल्कुल क्लियर है कि यू डोंट हैव टू पुट एनी कंडीशंस व्हिच मेक द होल थिंग अनकॉम्पिटिटिव, वेयर ओनली 1% or 2% कैन पार्टिसिपेट. नो. So in case you point out that these are the prohibitive conditions and write to the Ministry of Finance and the concerned ministry, I am sure they will take note of it. देखिए नीचे जो टेंडर बनाते हैं वो कोई सेक्रेटरी और डायरेक्टर लेवल के लोग नहीं बनाते, वो नीचे के लोग बनाते हैं, और या तो जानकारी के अभाव में या वेस्टेड इंटरेस्ट, आई वुड से मे बी एनी ऑफ देम. सो इसीलिए वो बनाते हैं. बट इफ दे आर पॉइंटेड आउट एंड टेकन टू टास्क, थिंग्स विल इम्प्रूव. बट इट इज you and me have to really take the initiative, because otherwise the problem will continue. So can I go to Mr.
Sir, similarly, I will just add to what Mr. Srivastav said. I think somewhere maybe chambers can also take it up.
Yeah.
Similarly, railways have something called GCC, General Conditions of Contract. Now, those general conditions of contract say if railway is delaying your payments, no interest is paid. And certain other very, very difficult conditions which are difficult for any MSME supplier. So, when large government buyers like ISRO or railways, they are buying, I think some of these conditions, somewhere it needs to be highlighted that they are uncompetitive actually.
So I can go last half a minute to Mr. Siddiqui, because I didn't see him earlier. He also had raised his hand. Mr. Siddiqui, please go ahead very quickly.
Yes, sir. Good evening. It's a wonderful session, sir, and we got many information from this platform. Sir, my question is, there is some technicalities and observation in the MSME Act. Okay, hum being a MSME, we raise a application before the MSME कि हमारा payment pending है. Okay, in that particular period, that issue has to be resolved, जो अभी तक resolve नहीं हुआ है. Now, I am intending to file before the NCLT. IBEC code, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, is
against that company who has to pay you.
Yes, sir.
ठीक है.
अब मेरा strategy ये है कि मैं NCLT में जाऊँ. Now, NCLT is in that IBC code. There is one provision जिसमें बताया गया है if there is already the matter is under dispute, तो NCLT भी उसको entertain नहीं करेगा. तो यहाँ contradictory हो रहा है.
ऐसा नहीं है. एनसीएलटी में कोई भी जा सकता है जिसका 1 करोड़ से ज्यादा एक कंपनी से ड्यू है. पहले ये 1 लाख रुपए होता था, अब उसको 1 करोड़ कर दिया जाए. अगर आपका ड्यू 1 करोड़ से ज्यादा है उस कंपनी पे, यू कैन ऑलवेज गो टू एनसीएलटी एनी टाइम. अनम्यूट कर लीजिए प्लीज.
Opposite party is taking a defense that there is already dispute. 1 करोड़ के ऊपर है सर.
Dispute with what?
A dispute between both the parties, so NCLT is not having to entertain that matter.
देखिए वो तो हर एक क्रेडिटर या जिसने पैसे देने वो कहेगा कि भाई ये तो डिस्प्यूट में एनसीएलटी में एडमिट नहीं होना चाहिए, पर आप एनसीएलटी में जाएंगे तो एडमिट हो जाएगा. वो तो कहेगा ही, वो तो कहेगा भाई ये नहीं होना चाहिए एडमिट, क्योंकि उसको एनसीएलटी में जाना नहीं है. और एनसीएलटी में जाने का जो प्रोविजन है वो सबसे फोर्सफुल प्रोविजन है, लेट मी टेल यू सिद्दीकी जी.
और सिद्दीकी जी वैसे भी जब तक सॉरी कुमार साहब,
या प्लीज
जब तक मैटर आर्बिट्रेशन में नहीं जाता समाधान के पास, वो हमेशा कंसिलेशन के लिए पड़ा है. दैट इज नॉट डिस्प्यूट, दैट्स अ कंसिलेशन प्रोसीडिंग.
एब्सोल्युटली.
उसको केस का नाम भी नहीं देते, उसको मैटर बोल देते हैं. वो दैट इज नॉट अ केस फॉर रिकवरी, दैट इज कंसिलेशन फॉर डिलेड पेमेंट.
सी इवन इफ
आप कुमार साहब म्यूट पे चले गए हैं.
In many cases, banks and financial institutions have gone for legal action against the people. They have still gone to NCLT. What is the problem? There is no bar on approaching NCLT. वो तो opposite party तो कहेगी भाई NCLT में कोई ताकि accept ना हो आपका case. Mr. Daruwala is raising his hand. I think we have to continue for another 2-3 minutes. Mr. Daruwala, please go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Hello, sir. My point is RBI for the bank guarantee, they have very clearly said that there is no reason the party can state. They can just claim for the bank guarantee.
Yes.
So the bank gets a letter just by saying that they want to invoke. That's it.
Yes, yes.
And bank has to do it.
Yes, that is the right position. Unconditional bank guarantee होती है. The bank guarantee जिसको in cash करानी है, he doesn't have to give any reason. That is the level. When you give
But
bank
that
guarantee,
gives them, that means that we have given them a license to kill us.
नहीं.
Where is the security?
देखिए ऐसा है, जब बैंक गारंटी इशू कराई ना आपने, उस बैंक गारंटी में ये लिखा होता है पहले कि अनकंडीशनली ये इन कैश की जा सकती है. तो आप ही ने तो लेके बैंक गारंटी उसको दी है, तो या तो आप उसको, या तो आप उसकी लैंग्वेज चेंज कराइए.
नहीं, problem is the government institutes don't accept anything else.
Yeah.
You have to take it or they don't give the order.
Actually, at the time of bank guarantee writing of the bank guarantee, आपको वो फॉर्मेट देखना चाहिए कि बैंक गारंटी में क्या लिखा है. अगर आपको लगता है कि
बैंक गारंटी का फॉर्मेट आरबीआई ने लिखा है ये.
नहीं. You can decide bank guarantee format yourself. आप अपना बैंक गारंटी का फॉर्मेट
चेंज. RBI has given a very bad bank guarantee format. I can give it to you. And I have tried to approach RBI. RBI में आप जाओ तो कोई पूछता नहीं आपको, आप अंदर नहीं जा सकते हो. I have called, I have emailed, they don't. So how can
आप एक बार कोशिश करिए चेंज करने की, चेंज हो जाएगा वो एक सैंपल फॉर्मेट है उन्होंने दिया है.
तो पैसा गया वहां पे BSF में, बॉर्डर सिक्योरिटी फोर्स में.
अच्छा.
वो कोई सुन नहीं रहा है.
कोशिश करिए क्योंकि अदरवाइज अगर अनकंडीशनल लिखा है तो वो अनकंडीशनल ही हो जाएगा. केवल ये जरूर है कि वो हमारा ये कहना है कि वैलिडिटी के अंदर ही इनकैश करें, वैलिडिटी से बाहर ना करें. Okay, I think we close the discussion because Mr. Srivastava again wants to come back. I think we carry on.
I think we should conclude the session.
We can close the discussion. Maybe Zubair, if you can hold another similar workshop next time, and we can invite all our participants in that workshop also, and maybe the issues which have been raised today, they are the focus of discussion. Then we can invite maybe one or two speakers from the concerned organizations also, so that they can give, like for example from bank and from RBI or from facilitation council, so that they can address these concerns also, or from the ministry. So if you can organize a program, inviting all these people, those who attended today. So thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Over to you, Zubair.
Thank you, Dr. Kumar. Thank you, Mr. Pankaj Chawla. Thank you, Mr. Vineet, for taking out time and join us and share your valuable inputs and insights on the subject. And thanks all the participants for having such an in-depth engagement with on the topic with our speakers. And I hope you all have the details of our speaker contact details, so you can write either to Power2 SME or get in touch with the speaker directly. And so with these words, let's conclude the session and hope to see you again. Good evening.
Thank you very much,
everyone.
Thank you. Take care. All the best.